What is up, people? In this video we are doing a stability shoe shootout. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. How are we all doing? Let me know in the comments and why you're down there. Stability shoes. Do you own a pair? Are you a stability shoe user? Which stability shoes are you using? Why? Are they any good? All that sort of stuff. Any recommendations? Stick it down in the comments and I'll jump in there. Once this video drops, right, Fordy, why are you talking about stability shoes? Well, if you're new to the channel, and welcome if you are, make sure you subscribe. I've had a little injury that's took me out of action for a while and I'm coming back. Now, one of the pieces of advice that I got, medical advice, from the person that's helped me recover was in terms of my pronation, because the muscles around that area, in terms of the pronation, it may help if I get a sort of mild stability to regular stability shoe for my recovery / easy miles. So for example, if I'm running on tired legs, which is where I tend to pronate, if I'm in a stability shoe or some form of stability shoe, it may take the pressure a little bit off those muscles and let them recover a little bit quicker, so to speak, than if I went out in just a normal neutral pair of shoes. So that's the idea behind it. Now the problem I've got is stability shoes are quite expensive. For example, I mean the first shoe I looked at was the Kayano 28, which is coming out. Now that's £140, which I appreciate is sort of around some of the sort of neutral running shoes we have on the channel. But £140 for a shoe that I'm not going to wear that much, but I am going to wear a little bit. I was kind of umming and ahhing. Now I am very, very lucky at FORDY RUNS and I will get sent a pair of Kayanos 28 when they do finally get here to the UK. I know ASICS have got some problems, but I need them now. So I went online and I was looking for a few bargains. Now I picked 4 shoes to try out, and I've been trying them out over the last couple of weeks since I've returned from my injury, and I've been playing around with them, doing just easy miles in them, nothing mental. I picked a little bit of pace up here and there, but it's just been easy miles to try and find the one that suits me the best. Now I gave myself a budget of, what was it, top one was about £110. I didn't want to spend over £100, but I think I went up to about £110 for one of them. But I'll show you when we go through the shoes what I ended up paying. So I've got 4 shoes. I'm going to go through each of them, what I found about each of them, and then at the end I'm going to let you know which one I picked. Right, so first up we've got the Forza 4 from Skechers. Now this shoe is between £70 and £80 here in the UK. I think it's probably because it's about to be replaced is my guess. Where do we start? Okay, so I'm going to run through the stats and features really fast on these shoes because I want to talk about how they feel more than anything else. But this shoe, it's got a 6mm drop. We've got, like I said, the Hyperburst and Ultraflight dual density midsole cushioning. We've got the, oh, by the way, on the Hyperburst, watch my other videos on how that's all created, but it's a supercritical process. We've got midfoot strike, which promotes efficiency in each stride. We've got a moulded heel counter that provides a secure fit. We've got Goodyear rubber on the outsole. Stack heights, we've got 26 in the front, 32 in the back, and it's weighing in at 9.1 ounces. Right, get me rid of my phone. So here we've got the higher density, see the Ultraflight there, and then we've got Hyperburst there. So this is where the sort of medial support comes in. So it's a slightly higher density material along here. So again, to sort that stop you collapsing in. We've got a breathable mesh upper. It's not as sort of breathable as most of the Skechers shoes out there, I would say. It's definitely due to be replaced with the more modern stuff that they're going with from Skechers, but it's not a problem. It's still very breathable. We've got a little bit of structure in there in the heel, but not as much as most stability shoes. And I'll show you the other ones, what I'm talking about. The lace is great, fit is great. It does feel a long shoe. This is a UK 9.5. We've got the Goodyear rubber on the outsole, so plenty of grip on there. And there's about the M strike, so it's all about heel to toe transition. weight. Let me weigh these. That's what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to do these in grams, okay? So anybody moans about ounces and that sort of stuff, we're doing these in grams today, but like I say, I'll put a finger up. 282 grams, which is quite light for a stability shoe, which is one of the reasons why we got them on the channel. Now, how does it feel? Well, we've got the Hyperburst midsole, which is a fantastic midsole. It's one of my favourites. So there's plenty of pop from that, but it is a firmer ride than maybe some are sort of used to, I would say. If you're looking at like a Nike or something like that, it's definitely a firmer ride. But what I did notice was the sort of firmer compound on the inside, and I did find myself not rolling too much. I found my foot sort of landing, again I'm lazy wearing these shoes when I'm sort of lazy and tired, sort of in the mid-foot to rear, to sort of towards the heel, and I didn't find myself rolling in too much, which was kind of nice. I didn't have any sort of aches and pains after I wore it. Some shoes I wear, if I am lazy pronating and where my leg is still a little bit tender, it does tend to flare up. For example, I was running in the Atreyu Artist, not the Atreyu Artist, the Atreyu base model the other day, and I could really feel where my leg was still tender. Just to give you an idea, and that's quite a firm, quite a low stack to a degree shoe with just a slab of EVA underneath it, but I could kind of feel the tenderness in that leg when I was running easy. But if I'm running in these, I haven't found it, so that's why I wanted to mention that. Big compliment actually for it. It's not the most exciting shoe in the world, it's not the most interesting shoe in the world, but for me, where I've run in it, it's done exactly what I expected it to do. Okay, so next up we've got the Arahi 5 from Hoka. Let me know in the comments if I'm saying that right or wrong. This is basically a stability version of the Clifton. It's got less stack height, but it's basically a Clifton with some stability. Now, they haven't gone with a medial post or medial support or rails or anything like this on this Hoka, which is kind of interesting. What they have done, and by the way, I paid £101.22 for this, which I was quite shocked actually. I was able to pick these up for that sort of money because they're £125 on the Hoka website. But yeah, basically the medial post or anything like that is disappeared. It's a different sort of way they've gone at it. It's more of a modern technology way of going at stability. So what they've done is they've put in this firmer EVA J frame, which offers this lightweight support, so you don't get all the sort of junk on it in terms of rails and stuff. While I'm talking about stats and features, you've got early stage metal rocker, engineered mesh upper, rubber outsole for increased durability, and then flat waisted geometry, which it provides inherent stability. I think it's got a 5mm drop, by the way, from memory, but let me know if I got that wrong. So yeah, so you've got this J frame. So most stability shoes have like some form of medial post or some guide rails, but what they've done is they've done it sort of longer along the sides, and then it's sort of shaped round. So it's creating more of a stable platform, but for longer. So it's, instead of like just literally having it on the inside, a good example would be something like the Fuel Cell Prism. It's just like literally got a harder post, medial post in there. They've created a firmer, this J-frame within the shoe to create the stability, which I think is kind of interesting. It's a different way of doing it. We'll see some Brooks in a minute that have got like a frame, rails around them instead of like a frame. So I think it's more of an interesting way of doing it. What I would say for this shoe, is that it's firmer than it looks. I was surprised how much firmer than a Clifton it was, which is not a bad thing because stability, you want a stability shoe, you want it to be quite firm. Look at the heel counter in terms of the structure versus the Skechers. It's much more harder and much more apparent, the stability and the structure in the heel counter. You've got the autonomous Achilles heel thing that are on most of the Hokas now, so that's just flicking away from your Achilles. You've got a slight bit of midsole sticking out of the back again, all promoting that sort of heel to toe transition. The fit, this is a UK 9.5. Again with Hoka, I've said it in a million videos, just bear with them. They do sort of come to you a little bit. You'll first put them on and go, these are too small, but it does come to you. It reminded me of the Mach 4, which is another reason why I picked up the Arahi 5, by the way, because I really love the Mach 4 at the moment. In terms of the feel of it, but it does come to you because they can come up narrow, but I have found that the mesh upper does come to me a bit. In terms of the mesh upper, it's breathable to a degree. It's actually thicker than I was expecting. I don't know why it's so thick, but overall the shoe is comfortable, the lacing's good, but here's the thing, I found it a bit dull and a bit boring, and it kind of felt just a little bit too firm and a little bit sort of dull, and I was like just hitting my foot on like a, what's the best way to describe it, like a wooden floor. It was just, I don't know, it was a bit lifeless, and I think struggling with words, which is unusual, but trying to find the best way to describe it. If I want a shoe, I want a stability shoe, right, a mild stability shoe, that still gives me some feedback, and it was, yeah, it just felt dead. I wasn't getting any feedback from the shoe. That's probably a better way to describe it. It just was a bit, you know, I didn't feel like I was connected. I didn't feel, yeah, even though I was running easy, I just couldn't get into the runs. And yeah, and it didn't improve every time I ran in it. It just was, oh, it was a bit boring. I say, it just felt like I was walking along on wood. So yeah, I wasn't that impressed with the Arahi. There's no, I mean, it might suit people, right? But for me, I'm not that excited about it, to be honest. So next up, we've got the Brooks Adrenaline GTS 21. Probably got that the wrong way around. Now, I picked this shoe up because Chris at Here We Are Running, if you're not subscribed to his channel, make sure you go over there and subscribe to Chris. He reviewed these, and Chris is a wearer of stability shoes. That's why I picked these up. And basically because I got them for £105, which is a bit of a steal. They do feel quite heavy in hand. Let me put these on the scales, actually, and find out the weight. I might be going mad, but hang on. Grams again, people. Yeah, I thought so. 311 grams in my UK 9.5. But anyway, let's get on to some of the stats and features, then we'll get on to what it actually feels like. Okay, so this is £120 on the Brooks website. Don't pay that. You've got a 12mm drop. Yeah, 12mm, so that might not suit everybody. But you've got a 12mm drop on it. You've got the DNA Loft midsole. You've got a very durable rubber outsole, mesh upper with loads of 3D overlays on it, and then what else? DNA Loft, I mentioned that, didn't I? And then we've got the guide rails around the side. So the technology on the Brooks versus like the Hoka and the others, you've got these guide rails around here. So think of a bowling alley, you know, when you put the kids' things up, this is what it's doing. So it's stopping you doing this. And you've got a lot of structure in the heel. Loads of foam in this. It definitely feels more of a traditional Brooks shoe, which is no surprise really. Fits true to size, as you'd expect with the Brooks as well. The lacing is typical Brooks. What else we need to know about in terms of stats and features? Rubber on the Brooks shoes is just so outstanding. You cannot get a better outsole, I don't think, than on a Brooks shoe. You've got these like overlays all around it. I don't know whether they're reflective or not. This upper is a bit thick. I don't know why they're all really thick. I'm not sure why that is. But that's probably about it in terms of features and stuff like that. So how does the shoe feel? Well, it feels like a Brooks, which is good news. It's not as sort of dead and uninspiring as the Hoka. It's a definitely softer ride than it looks. I think you look at it and you go, oh, it's going to be a bit hard, but actually it's a little bit softer than it looks. It's not as soft as a Glycerine 19, but it is definitely in line with, I'd say, the Ghost 13. The DNA Loft in this, yeah, it was quite pleasurable actually. I was quite surprised. This is the shoe I was least expecting to like out of all of them. And that's not being disrespectful for Brooks, but Brooks make really boring shoes at the moment. And I'm just gagging for them to make really more exciting, awesome shoes. Like the Hyperion Tempo, all their shoes need to be like the Hyperion Tempo. But I was kind of surprised by the DNA Loft in this and the overall feeling of it. The pronation, I really could feel in terms of stability. Not that I'm saying that I could feel that I was like stuck in, I don't know, braces, but I don't know, it definitely felt stable. Really did feel stable, and it's not that wide if you look, right? It's not that wide. Stay there. You know, it's the same sort of width as the Skechers, right? Which is quite a thin looking shoe. So it's not actually that wide, but I don't know, it just worked. Yeah, I was kind of taken aback by this one. I wasn't expecting to kind of like it as much as I do. I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favourite out of them. We'll come on to that. Mainly because I think it looks awful. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this shoe looks any good? Because I think it looks terrible. I think it looks like it's been designed by like a 3-year-old. It just, yeah, actually, that's probably disrespectful to a 3-year-old. They could probably do a better job. I think it looks awful. The upper is really annoying in terms of the thickness. But if you put all that to one side, the actual feel of it, in terms of what it's doing, it's actually really good. Okay, people, then we finish off with the Wave Inspire 17. Now, there's a lot going on in this shoe, loads, in fact. But where do we start? Price. Let's do price. I'm just looking at the midsole where you can see like, there's a join there. Anyway, sorry. Price, I got it for under £100, which is what I was looking to spend in the first place. So big tick box ticked in terms of what I was looking to do. You've got the wave crash pad on the inside. It's really prominent. You can see that, and then obviously goes around there. You've got that combined with the Energy midsole compound from Mizuno, which is their like most springy, responsive compound that they do on their running shoes. I think you've got some euphoric or U4IC in here as well. You've got the air mesh upper. There's loads going on in terms of foam around it. It really feels like a gel Nimbus actually in terms of amount of foam they've chucked in it. You've got elements of stability in the upper where they've sort of stitched it in, or overlays even on the medial side. True to size in terms of fit. Weight, it is heavy. Hang on a sec. I think it's over 340 grams. No, 334 grams, which is kind of heavy compared to the others. Plenty of grip on the outsole. You've got a sort of cutaway there where you can see the Mizuno wave crash pad. What else do you need to know in terms of features and stuff like that? Very structured in the heel counter, and that's probably about it. The downsides with this shoe, there's just a lot of it. Oh, by the way, 12mm drop. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of foam. It just, I don't know, it just feels like it's a big cumbersome shoe. The mesh upper is not the most breathable out of all of these shoes. The lacing's a bit rubbish, but it fits true to size and it is comfortable. But here's the thing, for me, this worked the best. And actually, let's conclude the video now, because out of all of these shoes, apart from the Skechers, which I really love, and about 70 quid I think are amazing, lightweight, but for me, in terms of stability for those easy miles, this is my winner. I think because when I come back onto my heel and I strike from the heel when I'm lazy pronating, this sort of crash pad area that's built up with the Energy, I don't feel like I'm heel striking. I'm getting a nice sort of correction, but also but the impact is kind of limited when I am hitting here. It just feels like a shock absorber on the back end of it. Now don't get me wrong, it really feels heavy on the back here. There is so much of the back of this shoe, and I wouldn't, you know, want to wear this over 20 miles. But for me, looking at sort of 3 to 6 miles, easy pace runs and that kind of thing, this is where I'm going. Now I will keep the Skechers because I love Skechers and they are lighter, so maybe for the summer I may switch between the two, because the Skechers, I'm going to get them, stay there. What? The Skechers is just immediately in hands, you can just feel it's lighter, and it just feels like a pair of Skechers. Now if you're new to the channel, I love Skechers running shoes, and I love the Hyperburst, so it's a real toss up between the two. But I think if I was advising you and you're looking for a sort of mild stability to stability and you don't want to go down the Kayano route, then I would have a look at the Inspire 17. I think it is the interesting shoe out of them. It's got a lot of technology thrown at it. It is probably too much shoe in terms of what's going on there, but at under £100, and both these shoes are under £100, I think the Wave Inspire 17 wins the shootout.